Well, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, and good night, and all of which apply to wherever you're watching. So, I want to thank you for stopping on by to another Wilhelm the Esoteric video. So, for today's video, we're going to talk about a subject matter that's quite deep and quite intense and comes from our childhood traumas and from a lot of the things we pick up along the way. I'm sure some of you have heard that our childhood is almost like a blueprint to who we're going to be when we become adults. Our childhood is a really critical time for our life. It doesn't mean we can't change, but what we go through, what we lack, what we have too much of, what we focus on, what people have come into our lives, what situations have we been dealt, what things have we gone through, have we been betrayed a lot, have we had a lot of nurturing, have we had a lot of love, have we lacked a lot of love. This could be different for everybody, and for every era of our life this can change. And sometimes a lot of us have to endure a lot of suffering and hardship. So for this video, we're going to talk about the Enneagram test. Now, the Enneagram is a tool that psychologists, therapists, and counselors of all sorts from around the world use. And it's based off of ancient principles and a collaboration of different schools of thought, of philosophy, and of mental health within the social sciences. Life is made up of different avenues, and these different avenues bring forth different insight that we can learn to adapt and to modify to fit our needs and necessities as a society as a whole, which is why I wanted to make this video, so we can see what our strengths, what our weaknesses are. Now, the Enneagram has 9 numbers, and out of these 9 numbers, each of these 9 numbers represents different sorts of cognitive skills, if you will, different sorts of strengths and weaknesses in areas of focus. And these areas are developed in different ways for different people throughout different parts of their life, especially when they're growing up. The parenting of the individual is critical and really conditions the individual on what to focus. And this is because of an overindulgence in certain things, perhaps a lack of certain things, and different means of the sort. This varies from individual to individual and is the uniqueness of each and every person. Out of these 9 numbers, we have a foundational number. And out of these 9 numbers comes a set of 3s, if you will. Out of these numbers, sometimes across or sometimes right below, our Enneagram number, when we're feeling stressed or when we're feeling happy or content, will go and become one of these other numbers that's across or perhaps right below it. So, this varies from person to person, and just because your Enneagram number goes from one number to the other doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. Sometimes we go to certain numbers when we're not feeling too good or when we're feeling great. Vice versa. We can take in negative connotation from either of the across numbers that we go to. Now we move on to the wing part of the Enneagram. As you see in the picture above, Enneagram numbers have their wings. For example, somebody who is a 1, an Enneagram 1 as we see here, might be an Enneagram 1 W2 or W9. What does that mean? It means that Enneagram 1 might be more towards the Enneagram 2, meaning that Enneagram 1 might be an Enneagram 1 in foundation, but at the same time it's going to have Enneagram 2 type of characteristics. Or the other way around, the Enneagram 1, if it has a strong wing for the 9, that Enneagram 1 is going to be very much like the Enneagram 9. So we need to be on the lookout for some of these characteristics. It's really helpful to get to know all of them. There's this book I really recommend called The Complete Enneagram, 27 Paths to Greater Self-Knowledge by Beatrice Chestnut, PhD. Anyway, this video is for everyone, regardless of whether you have ADHD or not. But for those of us with ADHD, these problems might be a lot more consistent. You might have to be on the lookout for these issues to come up more and more. And if you have an issue with rejection-sensitive dysphoria, it's the type of difficulty people with ADHD have, that they have difficulty with rejection. They have difficulty with feeling like they let somebody down, or like somebody let them down. And it feels really devastating. And sometimes they don't want to do an activity or see a person again for years, for days, for months, or sometimes even forever. It makes friendship really hard. So, something to bear in mind. There should be a link above if you want to check out a video on RSD. And for those of you who want to find out, how do I work on rejection-sensitive dysphoria? I know what it is. I just don't know what to do when it comes up. How do I address it? Well, there's a link up above of a video I made addressing those issues. How to handle it when you're going through it, how to handle it after the fact, and how to prepare for the next time rejection-sensitive dysphoria hits. Should be a link above if you want to check that out. So I just want to reiterate with the fact that depending on your Enneagram number, some of these points might not relate to you. Or they might relate to you a little bit, some more than others, and some perhaps not at all, and that's okay. That's because we're all completely different. If you enter this with an open mind and an open heart, I truly believe you can learn a lot of stuff and you can improve the quality of your life. And if you have a partner who you know is one of these Enneagram numbers, perhaps this can make a difference for them, and hopefully you can help them improve. I would urge you to please share this with somebody if you feel this content is of some help. It could really make a difference. Anyway, the point here is to bring help and to bring insight. I truly hope that this information brings you, a friend, a family member, or a loved one, some insight and some help. We just have to come into this with an open heart and with an open mind. To start off for today, we're going to look at the heart triad of the Enneagram. We look at the numbers 2, the numbers 3, and the numbers 4. The Enneagram 2, 3, and 4 are Enneagram numbers that relate to people through emotions, and there's usually a fixation on the emotion of sadness, of missing something, of lacking love or looking for that love, perhaps in different areas. And this stems from perhaps having an upbringing where love, when it was needed at very critical times, perhaps was not always given, or perhaps was given too little. And for some, unfortunately, perhaps not at all, some might feel. So let's have an open mind and an open heart. And let's try to reflect on our strengths and difficulties as people. At the end of the day, we're all humans and we all have our weaknesses and strengths. Let's work on this together. Let's aim to improve. Open your mind and open your heart. You'd be surprised how much you can accomplish. Let's give it a shot.
The Enneagram 3, the achiever, the motivator, the status seeker, the self-proclaimed best, Enneagram 3s are very driven and very inspired people who have a very success-driven mindset. Let's just say success-oriented, good communicator, rally up the troops, but at the same time, there's a lot of vulnerability that isn't really reflected upon. once we complete one goal, we're just looking to go to the next. And sometimes we don't learn the details that come sometimes with failure. Because sometimes Enneagram 3s don't want to give a try to things. They believe they can't win. Because winning sometimes is made too important. In fact, so important that winning becomes more important than your own life. Some main themes of the Enneagram 3 include being efficient, capable, and outstanding. They focus on goals, being pragmatic, and knowing how to present the self. Manages feelings by repression and keeping attention on tasks, staying active. Achievement offsets painful feelings. They look to others for feeling cues. In relation to systems, 3s want to work with the system, but they also like being outside of it, bending the rules and finding shortcuts. There's an efficient solution to this. We just need to get to work. What are some core identifications of the Enneagram 3? An identification that identifies powerfully with a self-image developed in response to what they perceive as admiration by others. Resist recognizing feelings of emptiness. Own self-rejection. To sustain the self-image of being admirable, desirable, attractive, outstanding, well-adjusted, effective, having unlimited potential. Without these things, sometimes the Enneagram 3 thinks that they're unworthy. The basic fear of the Enneagram 3 is a fear of being worthless without inherent value. Without value apart from their achievements, there's a red flag that perhaps they are failing, that their claims are empty, and perhaps fraudulent. Has the Enneagram 3 been lying to themselves this whole time? Do you like your own image more than you like your real self, Enneagram 3? Let me repeat myself. I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. Do you like your own image more than you like your real self? If that felt like a strong question, it's because it is one of the strongest questions that you can ask an Enneagram 3. And I'm here to tell you that your real self is worthy of absolute love and consideration. You don't have to make an image of yourself to get people to admire and love you. If you can balance yourself out, you can achieve goals. You can become a better version of yourself. But sometimes we worry too much about what other people think. The basic desire of the Enneagram 3 is to be valuable, to feel worthwhile, to feel accepted and desirable. There's a deterioration into chasing after the success, and then comes the wake-up call, beginning to drive themselves for status and attention. What is the ultimate call to attention of the Enneagram 3? To devote yourself and set an example for others. Remember, that is your true nature, says the Enneagram 3, to take pleasure in your existence and to esteem and value others. The Enneagram 3 might tell themselves, you might tell yourself if you're an Enneagram 3, I have accomplished enough to feel successful and worthwhile. When I have all the admiration and attention I want and feel completely outstanding, then I will show up. There's a catch to that, though. What are the marching orders of the Enneagram 3? I will become present to my life only when I have accomplished enough to feel successful and worthwhile, is what some Enneagram 3s might say. When I have all the admiration and attention I want and feel completely outstanding, then I will show up. The marching orders go something like this. You are good or okay if you do something valuable. You are good or okay as long as you are successful and others think well of you. But here's the contradiction. What makes you think a particular activity makes you valuable? Why do you have to do something to feel valuable? How much do you have to accomplish to feel worthwhile? 3s are often overachievers who feel empty on the inside. Healing attitude, a mindset of growth and empowerment might go something like, maybe I don't have to be the best. Maybe people will accept me just the way I am. Maybe others' opinions of me aren't so important. Maybe my opinion of myself should be much more important. A lot of the Enneagram 3s lose track of who they really are because of wanting to meet the needs of others, because of wanting to project this image of themselves to other people, because they feel that their real self might not be worthwhile. And I'm here to tell you that's not true. There's probably people out there, if you're an Enneagram 3 listening to this, or the family member of an Enneagram 3, there's probably people out there, Enneagram 3s, who want to meet, speak, and interact and love the real version of you that they've been waiting for years to meet. It's just that you've been in this shield, in this guard of, I am my image and this is all I know. Because as a kid, that's all I was taught. The Enneagram 3 is taught at a young age that they will be loved and given consideration only by the actions of which they do, and those actions have to be absolutely phenomenal, which at times leaves the Enneagram 3 feeling empty. And sometimes like they have to overcompensate. Some Enneagram 3s work so hard. They work so hard, tirelessly, day after day, year after year, busting their chop for their family, for their friends. And we gotta take a break sometimes. We have to admit that we can't carry all of that on our shoulders, all for the sake of assurance. Some Enneagram 3s are really anxious people. They feel they need a sense of security because it wasn't given to them. Some Enneagram 3s feel really a strong sense of anxiety because when they were kids, they didn't have security at times. They probably felt like they needed reassurance and they didn't get it. So when they get older, they believe to themselves that they need to work hard always, no matter what. Otherwise, a calamity is going to come, and I'm here to tell you it's not true. You can plan, you can organize, you can be considerate to yourself and not overdo yourself. I guarantee you, Enneagram 3, is there a family member and loved one out there who wants you to calm your schedule down and lighten the giant load you put on your shoulders. So you can balance your life out and stop overworking yourself and being so intense and maybe angry and saddened. Whatever it is, give yourself some time. Give yourself some time to reflect. If you're going to go on vacation, don't have that vacation be about work, about goals or achievements. Have that vacation be some time off for you or for your family or whoever's going. You need that for your mental health. Your mental health is just as important as your goals and accomplishments. You do not need to be deceitful about who you are. It's hard to be vulnerable when we've been taught our whole life not to be vulnerable, but we have to do that. In order for us to grow, we have to learn how to be real. Every human is worthy of love and consideration. We mess up, but we gotta pick ourselves back up. Some of us have done some intense, horrible things. We gotta ask for forgiveness if we feel the need to. We need to reflect. We need to grow, but we need to understand as a human being, Enneagram 3s, you guys are worthy of love and consideration. Be real. Reflect on who you really are. Go back to your childhood and pick up on everything that you left behind. It's really going to help you be the best you that you can be. I believe in you.